Welcome Gemini to your in-depth October horoscope forecast. I'm going to share some of the big themes of the month to begin with, then on screen your event chart right at the beginning of October, which always provides an influential backdrop for the whole period. I'll then go through all the developing influences in detail, frame by frame, to give you a clear picture of what this month holds. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so now. Please also click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Your ruler, of course, is Mercury. Mercury is going to be dazzling us in 3 different locations this month. I will unpack that for you. But Mercury is also going to align in a very influential way with the planet of assertion and thrust, Mars, which peaks on the 20th. What's the significance of that? You start this month, Gemini, with the Sun, but also Mercury, your ruler, in a very playful, self-expressive part of your situation. And that holds real promise. But if you recall, on the 1st of September, Saturn, the planet of structure, but also of limitation, moved back into the worldly part of your scope. And you may have actually been experiencing quite a lot of pressure, perhaps at work, responsibility. So giving yourself permission to have some fun may not be a completely straightforward thing this month, but I will explain why. Now, Venus is the planet of relating and is going to be moving into a delightful location for you mid-month, and also sparks a marvellous opportunity. What's that about? We also have a new moon on the 21st in your fellow air sign of Libra. New moons are usually a chance to set our intentions. This one in the 5th house can be about sociability, creativity, self-expression, playfulness, even romance. What's this new moon about this year? But as this month goes on, there is a growing focus on a more practical part of your life. What's the implications of that? Because if you're someone who's very, very conscientious, there is another part of you that comes from Pluto going direct at the heart of this month, which could be a little resistant or even resentful about some of those everyday demands that maybe that people have for you. But by the end of this month, as Mercury moves into your opposite sign, what's the implications for your relationships? Because it is going to be forging an exact opposition with Uranus early in Gemini. But just before I go into that, I want to share with you about my unique offer. You can order your personal natal forecast for year 2026 now, and I'll give you the rest of this year free. But also you'll get 30% off the individual prices, and you'll get your life roadmap report in my special package. That really helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your life so far, all of us. It's totally unique to each person, but understanding those patterns and matching them to the forecast will help you to make your moves in the new year much more shrewdly. But also in my special offer, you'll get your free general zodiac forecast for each of the 12 signs, but also your Chinese forecast, your Vedic forecast, and your love forecast too in my special booklets. Please see the link below for more. On the screen now, I'm showing the event chart. We always have to be mindful of the 2 luminaries. So the moon is in the practical sign of Capricorn, but you can see the sun in Libra. The 5th house is a lovely place for the sun to be. It's a kind of Leonian energy. But the moon in Capricorn is just emerging from a quarter moon it shared with the sun as September came to a close. So as you come into this month, I feel if there is anyone who kind of has some expectations around you, perhaps even is a little bit possessive, or maybe feels controlling, that might be something that's on your mind. But for sure, with Mercury also along with the sun in your 5th house, on the face of it, it's a chance for you to sparkle. And there's nothing like Gemini sparkle. I feel that Mercury being in the fifth house can help your sense of fun and mischief really to be lit up. But you can see that Jupiter, the planet of plenty, is squaring up with your ruler as we go into this month. And I feel if you're someone who has got brilliant ideas and you're wanting to do something with them that's perhaps more speculative, that's an aspect that can really whet your appetite. And with the Moon and Jupiter in an opposition, T squaring back to Mercury, maybe you can get caught up in that energy, and want to be more enterprising as you come into this month, whether it is around your social life and interaction, whether it is around your love, a love attraction, or it is around some kind of business or financial idea you have. But I just want to make you aware that as Mercury heads into the month, it is going to be forging a quincunx with Saturn. So whatever ideas you've got, you really need to think very carefully about how they'll be perceived by anyone in a position of influence or authority. So if you're pitching an idea to an investor or a bank, for example, or you're trying to get your parents hooked in to your enthusiasm, just be aware that they might not share quite as much as your sparkle, and that could feel a little deflating. But I think essentially Jupiter squaring off to Mercury at the start of this month sets the tone for the whole month. And if you do have some spare cash, and whether you want to get yourself some nice clothes, whether you want to start preparing for Christmas and be very generous to people that you care for, or it is something that is inspiring you to be a bit more risk-taking, there is that there, but you're also being asked to be very cautious with resources as well. Because if we go back to when Jupiter moved out of your sign early in June, it clashed straight away with Saturn in that sector of responsibility. So Jupiter visits each sign around every 12 or 13 years. It's not an exact cycle, but when Jupiter moves into one's second house, the chances are it can bring some extra potential for earning money. And that is possible this year, but I think you're going to get the benefits more next year with Jupiter in Gemini because of the coming retrograde. And the key is that I feel that not to be over optimistic is going to be an important part of the journey of this month. And what's going to help you really to be very focused on the details. I think details at times can bore you a little bit. But on the 6th, Mercury moves into Scorpio. Here Mercury is very penetrative. It's great for looking at things like crunching numbers, doing some market research, being very exacting. Now it may be that you do have that in your nature naturally, that that more flitty side that tends to be characterised in of you is not actually the case. Because as Mercury moves forwards this month, it's actually going to become razor sharp but very thrusting in a combination with Mars. And that's going to help you to almost like puncture through any situation in a very, very powerful way. So even if there is part of you that comes into this month with a high level of optimism and wanting to do something a bit more free-spirited, I feel as the month goes on, you're going to show a lot more capacity to grapple with the details. But on the 7th, we do have a full moon. So full moon in Aries, and for you that can be about your social interactions, but also your long-term plan. It doesn't have any afflictions, this full moon, from other players. So what I think it could throw up for you is making some choices over time management, and that time management can be around who you spend time with in terms of people. There may be some people that you want to spend more time with and some people less, because remember that quarter moon that brought the curtain down on September. It maybe made you more aware if someone around you was a bit cloying, a bit too wanting of your attention, and that may have felt rather closing in and inhibiting. So just be conscious that you may want to create a bit of space from that particular full moon. But on the 13th, Venus, the relator, which starts this month for you in an area which can make you or give you the desire to do some home decoration. If your creativity comes from some crafting or making, perhaps that's where you see an opportunity to make some more money. But Venus moves into a much more playful, romantic, glamorous part of your scope right at the heart of this month and forges a dazzling link with Uranus in your sign and Pluto, but Pluto goes direct on the following day. If you do connect with someone at the heart of this month and the energy between you is very free-spirited, you can have a laugh, you feel you can be yourself, but also you can feel that they can understand your qualities and be attracted to them, but also there's something that you can both transform through. Something very exciting could develop from that, I feel. If you have felt that something you wanted to expand around has been rather inhibited since the early part of May, it might have been because of Pluto's retrograde, so that loosens up. But from the 15th through to the 26th, peaking on the 20th, Mercury advances forwards and meets up with Mars. Now Mars starts this month and continues right through it in the other zodiac sign that it rules of Scorpio. So it can give you more stamina this month, which is very useful. But of course Mars in Scorpio can be very direct, all the way to blunt, and it can be very desirous. If you need to have a discussion with someone and you need to punch across the detail or the facts or your point of view, your perspective, you can do so with fantastic clarity, but also conviction and authority. It really can see you coupling the playful, creative stuff of the Libran energy with being much more businesslike. So that's lovely. The 21st, however, does see a new moon in Libra. Ordinarily, a new moon in Libra for you is a green light over the following months to enjoy the best of life. But it's a complex new moon. It's so late in Libra. It's essentially in a square with Pluto. So I think that because it's nearly in house 6 for you, it could bring up some of the energies of house 6. And those are very much to do, that's where the South Node is as well. It's very much to do with obligations, responsibilities, the details. And the 9th house energy of Pluto is where you want to evolve and keep growing and be a free spirit. So there could be some kind of clash that comes up in the latter part of this month. The 22nd, however, sees Neptune step back into the 10th house where it had been since full-time 212 until the 30th of March this year. If you did go through a period of evolution around your work, maybe you worked in a care or a healing sector, maybe as a psychic. Neptune in the 10th house, very, very vivid energy through to the end of January. It's going to complete its entire cycle, which then begins again. It takes 165 years, but we have to take into account the time it's actually in a sign, but it will come back to Aries, and Saturn will return to Aries on the 14th of February next year. But in the interim, from now through to then, some big questions are going to come up about your career, about how much responsibility you have, how much you want to take on. If you're someone who really wants to seize a golden prize, raise your profile, if you can use the flair and imagination of Neptune, but the industry and application of Saturn, that's going to be very helpful. Because the ironic thing, Gemini, is that when Jupiter moved into that second house in early June, I don't feel that you got the benefits financially because of Saturn blocking it. And I think that as this month draws on, you are going to have a chance to start reaping some benefits from a lot of hard work you've been doing, probably quite historically, but maybe very intensely over the last couple of years since Saturn moved to the top of your chart in March 2023. So if you've really been pitching things in a different way, you've stepped into the limelight more, you've used the fact that Saturn can be about spiritual transformation. It's not just about where we're going to encounter limitations and frustrations. But before that, we had the Sun joining up with Mercury and Mars on the 23rd. But that clashes with Pluto in a square. So for you, that scorpionic energy, that's 6th house, 9th house energy, is where you could feel a bit conflicted by where you have to be very dedicated and attending to the details. And there's another part of you that wants to be that free spirit. So that could come up then. But as we come into the end of this month, as Jupiter steps forwards and Mars steps forwards, we get a grand water trine. And all that hard work that you've put in over the last couple of years, even if you've had to put up with some frustrations professionally, even if some things have seemed out of your reach, even if some people you've encountered professionally have been really, really tough, there's a chance for you to have some kind of fundamental breakthrough. Do believe that is possible, particularly with Mercury then spinning as the month draws to a close into your opposite sign, because your ability to connect with people is really going to be fundamentally amplified as this month closes. So your mind energies, your communicational energies can work in tandem with those worldly energies, because although it's a water grand trine, for you personally, Saturn and Neptune 10, that's very Capricorn, Jupiter 2, very Taurus, and the Scorpio energy for you, very Virgo. So that could see some kind of big advance forwards, but it could come quite quickly, and there may be some rapid discussions, and you may have to make some big and important decisions. But if you can marry that part of you that can be fun, mischievous, very, very quick-witted, with a preparedness to grapple with the details, be very hard-working, and really dedicate yourself, even if at times, particularly with the move of the Sun into Scorpio, it jars a little bit in terms of your free time. Stay with the program, as they say, because it could be very helpful to you. If you've yet to watch your year 2026 deep dive Gemini forecast, please see the link within this video. You can click on that and it will take you to it.